Okay, it's Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. We are 6 days until the U.S. election, and we're already seeing the election shenanigans begin to pick up pace. We're going to talk about that in today's topic.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. I'm your host, Ricky Scaparo, the founder and the voice of End Time Headlines. And like I said at the beginning of this, we are 6 days away until the U.S. election, and we knew all these shenanigans were going to start happening, and we're going to talk about that today. We're going to kick it off. I'm going to show you an article. Before we get started on that, guys, we welcome you to the program. If you're listening live here on YouTube, again, we welcome you right there in the chat. Let us know where you guys are joining us from. Of course, you guys on Apple and Spotify, we appreciate you as well. Guys, can you do us a favor before we even get started? Help us out. Hit that like button, hit that bell notification, hit that subscribe button. That's going to help all of us out, help us get eyes on our program, and help you keep up with our ministry as well. All right, so here we go. Extremists inspired by conspiracy theories pose major threat to the 2024 elections. This is coming from U.S. intelligence. I want to read a little bit of this to you. All right, guys, U.S. intelligence agencies have identified domestic extremists with grievances rooted in election-related conspiracy theories, including beliefs in widespread voter fraud and animosity toward perceived political opponents as, quote, the most likely threat of violence in the coming election. Okay, so they're telling us, again, according to U.S. intelligence agencies, that the greatest threat of likelihood violence that would come from the election is from, quote, extremists, domestic extremists with grievances rooted in election-related conspiracy theories in beliefs of widespread voter fraud and, again, animosity towards perceived political opponents. Now, I wonder who they're going to put the spotlight on here. Wonder which political party they're going to put that spotlight on. That would be the greatest threat and the greatest suspected characters to carry out such a threat. In a joint intelligence bulletin that was not distributed publicly, but was reviewed by NBC News, agents from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security warned state and local enforcement agencies that domestic violence extremists seeking to terrorize and disrupt the vote are a threat to the election and throughout Inauguration Day. It's interesting that it was not distributed publicly, but we'll have to take NBC News' word for that. The report identified the potential targets as candidates, elected officials, election workers, members of the media, and judges involved in election cases. The potential threats include physical attacks and violence at polling places, ballot drop boxes, voter registration locations, and rallies and campaign events. Now, what's interesting, we're going to show you some footage, actual footage, and some reports about physical attacks against ballot drop boxes. So this is already happening. So they're warning about this, but it's already happening. The October internal report was among several intelligence documents obtained through public records requests by Property of the People, a nonprofit group focused on government transparency. Federal agents regularly provide this type of threat assessment to state and law enforcement agencies through formal bulletins. Before January 6th, here it goes, we knew it was coming, 2021, they were more reluctant to distribute them because of concern that investigations of Americans might appear to, quote, violate free speech protections. Oh, so suddenly these people have a conscience on violating free speech protections of Americans? That's news to me. That's interesting. The United States remains in a heightened dynamic threat environment and we continue to share information with our law enforcement partners about the threats posed by domestic violent extremists in the content of the 2024 election. DHS spokesperson Maria Rodriguez said in a statement, quote, "Violence has no place in our politics, and DHS continues to work with our partners to evaluate and mitigate emerging threats that, quote, may arise from domestic or foreign actors." And then as you scroll on in this article, they build the entire case, guys, right here. They're building the case against Trump and supporters of Donald Trump. So you can find this whole article at NBC News, where, again, we pulled this source from. Now, what's interesting, according to a Scripps News IPSOS poll, they revealed that 60% of Americans believe that violence on or after Election Day on November 5th is somewhat or very likely. Listen to that, 60%. With 70% of Democrats and 59% of Republicans expecting unrest, and particularly high concerns among battleground states, voters like Wisconsin, the specter of post-election violence looms large. Conservative Americans in particular see these threats not as isolated incidents, but as part of a broader erosion of public trust caused by by political overreach, biased media narratives, and what they perceive as insecure election practices. According to this poll, a significant number of Republicans, over 40%, indicated that if their candidate lost, they would attribute the loss to widespread election fraud. This concern highlights a persistent worry among conservatives about the security and fairness of elections, a concern that has led to calls for reform in several Republican-led states. Now listen to this. This is important as we get through this. Only about 1/3 of Republicans and less than half of independents express confidence in the security of ballot drop boxes. Now keep that in mind. Again, only 1/3 of Republicans polled and less than half of independents express confidence in the security of ballot drop boxes. Now, when we get ready to show you what's going on in certain states, you can see why they express this concern. So guys, you got to keep your head on a swivel. You need to be paying attention when you go to vote. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, in the chat on YouTube. When you go in and you cast your vote, if you're doing it by machine, you need to pay attention to that machine. Is it processing it legitimately, or is it reverting it to a different candidate? You need to. I don't even know. As far as ballot boxes go, when we're about to share with you the information we're about to share with you, I don't know what you can really do to secure that vote if you plan on putting your vote in a ballot box and leaving it and walking away thinking and having confidence that your vote is secured. It's crazy. I'm just saying. Now, there is reports that right now there is drills being conducted at the U.S. Capitol. Let me pull this up. I want to show you this. And again, this was held on October 28th. This is when it was put out on X. This evening, the United States Capitol Police and our federal partners are conducting a routine training exercise on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. Quote, "Please do not be alarmed if you see emergency vehicles and low-flying helicopters." Again, what is this about? Guys, we know what it's about. It's about the upcoming election. They are, again, everything, they're preparing for this. They are believing that this is going to get edgy. This is going to get concerning. And none of us want to see that. But it's going to be interesting. Again, we have 6 days as of the recording of this on October 30th until we have the official election. And listen, I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen on Election Day or shortly after, the day after? Are you part of this poll? Let's do a poll here. Let's do a poll. Do you think that there will be some type of civil unrest? Hit yes in the chat or hit no. again, if you believe there will be on one side or the other, somebody's got to lose, somebody's got to win. So will there be civil unrest of some sort? Hit yes or no, depending on what you believe. All right, here we go. Ballot drop box fires under investigation in Oregon and Washington after hundreds of ballots destroyed. Unbelievable. All right, federal authorities are investigating fires at 2 ballot boxes reported this past Monday morning in the Portland, Oregon area that destroyed hundreds of ballots at one location, as well as another fire reported earlier this month. And we'll give you more update on that here in just a second. Evidence from the incendiary device found at the ballot boxes Monday show the fires are connected, as well as a third incident reported in Vancouver, Washington on the 8th of October. This was according to Mike Benner, a spokesperson for Portland Police Bureau. While many of the ballots in Portland were unaffected, hundreds of ballots were destroyed in Vancouver ballot box, according to election officials. Portland police also identified a suspect vehicle leaving the scene of the fire in Portland, which is believed to be tied to the 2 incidences in Vancouver as well. This is according to a news release Monday. The car appears to be a black or dark-colored 2001-2004 Volvo S60 that's missing a front plate and has an unknown rear plate. Oh, how convenient, isn't it, guys? How convenient. Now, I found this, and I thought this was extremely interesting because I didn't hear this on any mainstream media outlet. This is from the dailymail.com. Quote, shock evidence discovered at scene of ballot box fires in 2 states as police search for suspect. Now, what is the shock evidence that they discovered? Devices marked with the words Free Gaza were left behind at ballot boxes that were set ablaze in the Pacific Northwest on Monday, according to investigators. Okay, stop. Now, last time I checked, now I could be wrong, but last time I checked, I don't remember or recall any conservative Republicans that are expressing this. I don't recall any protesters that identify themselves as Republican conservatives. I don't recall any of these people holding up signs protesting Free Gaza. However, on the other side of the spectrum, on the Democratic side, I see it all over the place. We saw it at universities. We saw thousands of them in D.C. We saw them throwing their support behind Kamala Harris. So you can do what you want with that. Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one too. Detectives were working to determine whether the arsonist was a, quote, pro-Palestinian activist or just using the divisive conflict to inflame tensions ahead of the election, law enforcement sources told the New York Times. Police described the fires in Portland, Oregon and Vancouver, Washington as a, quote, direct attack on American democracy. All right, here's let's go to this. A Southern California man says he found a stack of election ballots stuffed inside a storm drain. Again, this was in Southern California. Here's more on that.
An alarming find in Sierra Madre just weeks before the November 5th election, a stack of ballots in a storm drain.
As Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia tells us, it's a reminder to contact your registrar of voters if your ballot doesn't show up in the mail.
Wow, guys.
I'll show you. Jason Ace was doing some landscape work at his Sierra Madre home Saturday when he saw something strange in the storm drain next to his house. Nearly a dozen mail-in ballots. He says he got on his hands and knees and started scooping them out and noticed the addresses were from his Arcadian neighbors a block away.
And of course, this poses the question, how many have been thrown in drains, burned, destroyed, stolen, that we don't know anything of? Is that not terrifying? And then again, and then they wonder why we don't have confidence in this election system. Because of this buffoonery like this. This is why we've lost confidence in this system. And again, I want to ask you, how many How many are out there that we've never seen, that we never found, that we never discovered, that will never come to the light of day because we don't know about it? And all the while, you live in these communities, you live in these cities, you live in these states, and you think that your vote's going to be heard, your voice is going to be heard. You go put your ballot in the box, or you put your ballot in the box, and then and little do you know that this stuff is going on, and your vote never saw the light of day. Isn't this terrible? This is incredible, guys.
We're trained here to keep stuff out of the storm drain, so I got down on my hands and knees and dug around a little bit and started pulling it out. And I pull out a bunch of junk mail and Ralph's ads and Aldi, and these ballots were mixed in with the junk mail. And of course, they catch my attention because we're seeing on TV about all of the care being taken to prevent fraud and misuse of ballots. It seemed a strange place for ballots to be.
He says he tried to return them to the nearby post office, but they were already closed. Yesterday being a holiday, he wasn't able to return them either.
Now, who would love to know, let's just be honest here, who would love to open those and see who those votes were casted for? Am I the only one? I would love to know who those votes were casted for.
His guess is someone went around the neighborhood opening up the mailboxes and emptying them. What the thieves didn't want, they dumped in the storm drain. He shared with us that he doesn't receive a lot of mail. He explains for him, it's safer.
I'm one of these people who's gotten almost everything now coming in paperless. I don't get a lot of personal mail. The only thing I get these days that might be like that, it might be a replacement credit card or something.
If you haven't received your mail in ballot and you believe it may have been lost or stolen, the LA County Registrar's website allows you to request a replacement. Go to their website and fill out the form online. You can only do this once. And according to the website, it will not change your registration status. Mr. Sinise tells me he plans on going to the post office this afternoon to return the ballots he found.
All right, here's another one. This one is in Phoenix. Ballots damaged after a USPS mailbox was lit on fire in Phoenix, and the actual suspect was arrested. Now let's watch the video on this.
In Phoenix, police arrested a suspect they believe set fire to a post office box, which damaged 5 ballots. Arizona Secretary of State says the vandalism undermines the democratic process, and they responded by sending fire suppression equipment to counties all across that state.
Also in Arizona, a man is in jail after he allegedly shot at a Democratic campaign office. Police say the 60-year-old man may have been planning, quote, a mass casualty event. They investigated the September shootings for 5 weeks before neighbors sent in tips that led the police to him. Jeffrey Kelly was arrested during a traffic stop Tuesday afternoon. Officials say during a search at Kelly's home, they found more than 120 guns, over 250,000 rounds of ammunition, and body armor.
Here we go, the narrative. Unbelievable.
Officials say Kelly was seen hanging bags lined with razor blades on campaign signs just a day before his arrest.
Good grief, guys. And here's a picture of the arson suspect right there on your screen on the left. Look, doesn't really surprise me, but nevertheless, whatever the case may be, this was the guy who took the fall. And according to the report, Cloffercorn, however you pronounce his name, was located and arrested for an outstanding and unrelated arrest warrant. While in custody, he was interviewed about his involvement in the arson, and he admitted to committing the arson. He stated that he committed the arson because he wanted to be arrested and that his actions were not, quote, politically motivated and not related to anything involving the upcoming election. Meanwhile, in Vancouver, hundreds of ballots were possibly burned at a Vancouver ballot box arson.
There's 2 incidents involving ballot boxes this morning. We'll start with what's happening in Vancouver. That is on the left side of your screen. We just watched firefighters pry open the back of this ballot box, which is obviously on fire. We were watching it smoke for the past half hour or so. This is at the Park and Ride drop-off ballot box at Fisher's Landing, right next to the C-Tran Transit building. We were watching police officers and firefighters sort of standing around this ballot box for a while, taking pictures. Then one of those firefighters just walked up with what looked like a crowbar, and they pulled the back of the ballot box out, and a bunch of ballots that are on fire poured out onto the ground. They're trying to put the fire out now. Obviously, it is steaming. It's pouring rain there. We don't know how many ballots were in this box, but obviously they are destroyed. This is going to be a big problem. This is happening again at the Park and Ride ballot location at Fisher's Landing in Vancouver. We're also tracking breaking news at the Multnomah County Elections Office. That is on the right side of your screen right now, where police found an incendiary device at this ballot box. We have K2's Joe English live on the scene there, gathering new information. That is obviously taped off as police investigate that. So big concerns at least 2 ballot boxes coming just.
And again, these are the ones that they're discovering. We don't know how many has been sabotaged out there that we don't know about.
8 days before Election Day. K2's on your side. We're going to continue to track this breaking news for you. And obviously, if you're worried, if you're a voter, you need to call the elections office, especially if you dropped your ballot off at the box there on the left. What a crazy morning. Thanks for joining us. It is 6:30. I am Angelica Thornton. We have weather and traffic to help you get your Monday morning started. It's been kind of a bad morning on the roads. Mike Warner's in the On Point Live Drive, tracking a back out to that breaking news in Vancouver. That ballot box on fire right now. This is at the Park and Ride ballot at Fisher's Landing. We wanted to show it to you again because they keep opening up the box and they're stomping out the flames right now. This is happening right next to the C-Tran Transit building. We obviously have a crew live on the scene right now. We're asking them what's going on. We're also keeping our eyes open for any other fires that are popping up right now because we have that other breaking news, an incendiary device inside a ballot box on Southeast Morrison Street. This happened at about 3:30 this morning. Police responded to reports of a fire.
And notice where it's at. Notice the location of where this is happening, where these are taking place. I'm just saying, it's just interesting to me.
At this ballot box, security staff who work in the area put the fire out before police and fire arrived, but officers did determine that an incendiary device was in there. That's all we're being told right now. It was placed inside the ballot box and it was used to start a fire. PPB's explosive disposal unit responded and cleared the device. The Portland Fire Investigations Unit also responded to the scene to investigate.
So no arrest. We know nothing about the suspects that did this, and it's still unknown. Interesting. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, one county finds 2,500 suspected fraudulent voter registrations as the state election officials are investigating this as well.
Press conference just wrapped up. It involved the Lancaster County District Attorney and detectives investigating this. Basically, they tell us it involved about 2,500 voter registration applications that had been dropped off here at the administration building on 2 occasions last week, basically at the deadline to drop them off at the end of the day. And they noticed some irregularities with these voter registration applications. The DA says it stems from a canvassing operation last summer that set up at parking lots as well as shopping centers around the county.
The confirmed indicators of fraud that detectives came across were inaccuracies with the addresses listed on the applications, fake and false personal identification information, as well as false names. Also applications that contain names that did not match the provided Social Security information.
Wow. And again, I have to say it. These are just the ones that were caught. How many has slipped through? And again, and it's just amazing to me, guys, that when you have all these shenanigans going on and you question, you have an open mind and you actually question the system, whether or not it's legit or not, then you know what? You know what happens then? Then you put yourself in the list and the category as conspiracy theorist. And again, according to, quote, U.S. intelligence agencies, if you question the system because of all the buffoonery going on, then you are now part of this assessment threat. Again, U.S. intelligence agencies have identified domestic extremists with grievances rooted in, quote, election-related conspiracy theories, beliefs in widespread voter fraud, right? So can you not see how this is unfolding? And look at this. The report identified the potential targets as candidates, elected officials, election workers, members of the media, and judges involved in election cases. Threats include physical attacks, violence at polling places, and ballot drop boxes. All right, so what's going on here? You have to ask yourself, is things being purposely done to incite things, to stir the pot, to provoke things from taking place? There's just so many angles we could take to this and questions that we need to ask. Now, I'm going to take you to, let's go over here to a press conference on the arson attacks on ballot drop boxes in Washington and Oregon. We're going to take you over here just for a moment. Let's see what they say.
I'm going to run you through some details of what happened here in Portland this morning, and then I'm going to run you through some details of what happened here in Portland this morning, and then I'll kick it over to Interim Chief of Vancouver PD, Troy Price, for some comments on what happened in Vancouver. But I can tell you this morning at approximately 3 a.m., officers responded to reports of a fire at a ballot box right outside the building.
Now, I'm going to tell you this. Some bad things happen at 2, 3, 4 in the morning at ballot boxes during elections. That's all I'm going to say because I want to keep this up. But bad things happen. Bad characters show up to ballot boxes in the middle of the wee hours of the night and do corrupt things between 2 and 5 a.m. during election cycles. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all do your own research on that and figure out what I'm talking about there.
Right now, by the time officers arrived, I can tell you that security personnel in the area had already extinguished the fire. Our officers quickly determined that there was an incendiary device that had been attached to the ballot box, and that is what ignited this fire. Our explosive disposal unit came out.
So you're telling me that there was no cameras, no fingerprints, no witnesses, nothing. Interesting.
To the scene to clear the device, and it has since been taken into our custody. I can share that the incident this morning is very similar to 2 incidents in the Vancouver area. The most recent, just this morning, in fact, about an hour earlier than what happened here in Southeast Portland. With that.
All right, do you guys think this is one individual doing this, or is this a collaborated effort of a group, a coordinated effort by a group that's doing this? I'd love to hear your comments. And again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button. Help us push this out.
I will hand it over to Vancouver PD Interim Chief Troy Price for some comments, and then Assistant Chief Amanda McMillan from PPB.
Good morning. As he said, this is our second event in Vancouver of this nature. The first one was back on October the 8th, and we got a call that indicated that one of the ballot boxes was smoking, and we found a device there next to the ballot box. It was collected by the Metro Explosive.
So from October 8th to what? October 29th, when this was streamed, or when this was done, this press conference took place. So from October 8th to the 29th, no leads, no suspect, no arrest, nothing. Okay.
Disposal unit. And today's incident was very similar. A call in the early morning hours to 911 indicating that there was smoking and a fire at one of our ballot boxes. And again, we collected it through the Metro Explosive Disposal Unit. These incidents are similar in nature. No one was injured in any of these incidents. We're working with our partners across the river here in Portland and sharing information with our federal law enforcement partners in hopes of bringing this to a successful conclusion.
All right, so folks, again, keep your head on a swivel, pay attention, be aware of your surroundings. If you have not voted yet, make sure your vote is secure. Pay attention, because these shenanigans are going to keep happening. Don't think that this is going to let up. I don't see that happening. 6 days. I mean, the suspect or suspects has not been identified. There's no arrest, nothing. So they're going to continue to do this. Why would they not? Why would they stop doing this? So this is very disturbing, very alarming, but it's not. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. And I'm pretty sure that most of you guys are not either. So this is why it's important, guys, as believers, that we continue to pray and intercede. Ask God, pray, Lord, expose this stuff. Expose what is done in darkness and bring it to light. Expose any kind of fraud. Expose nefarious intentions, motives, and acts. All of this stuff needs to be exposed, and just keep praying, keep interceding, because we have 6 days until the election. Again, endtimeheadlines.com, endtimeheadlines.org. Again, if you guys have not downloaded our free app, I want to encourage you to swing by your app store today. Pick it up at Apple or Android devices, whatever the case may be, your Play Store. Pick it up today. Hit yes to push notifications. This is how you're going to keep up with all of our headlines, our podcast, our breaking news. Everything's going to be right at your fingertips. And as always, guys, we want to give you an opportunity. If this ministry is a blessing to you, pray about becoming a monthly partner. You can do that 2 different ways. You can give electronically. There's multiple ways you can do that, or you can give by check or money order right there on your screen at End Time Headlines, P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia, 30655. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. We're going to sign off for this afternoon. Tonight, we've got a reaction video. We're going to expose some things about Halloween from a former occult, a former individual who was steeped into the occult and really heavy into this, but God delivered him from this. We're going to listen to his testimony, and he's going to show you and expose to you and reveal to you why, as believers, we should not be partaking of this holiday of Halloween and this darkness and what it really represents. So you don't want to miss that tonight, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, I pray that y'all have a blessed and safe day. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.